Hello, my name is Nicole Marasola, and today I will be presenting the results of my Europe project for the semester, Quantifying Glacial Change in East Greenland. A brief summary of my project is I will be presenting a workflow for using structure from motion photogrammetry to create a model of glacial surface change using historic photos and modern photos so that we can get a volumetric calculation of how much glaciers have receded in East Greenland. Real quickly, I would also just like to say thank you to the Undergraduate Research Opportunities Program and the Maine Space Grant Consortium for their generous funding. All right, so to get started, the fjord region of East Greenland is one of the most remote and sparsely populated places on the planet. The highlighted region in red on the map to the left is the East Greenland National Park. This is the largest national park in the world, bigger than the entire country of Tanzania, at over 375,000 square miles. It's known for several things, notably having lots of ice, almost no people, and even less infrastructure. So historically, it's been quite difficult to actually reach this area. Being able to study this region would give us more insight into how East Greenland has been changing due to human-caused climate change. And in Maine, we'd be able to more accurately predict sea level rise in the future. So, our study site is the Kaiser Franz Joseph, Kjærulf, and Dixon fjords. They're circled in red on the map below, and for Greenland-wide context, they're the pin on the map to the left. We chose this study site because it's been extensively photographed by the explorer Louise Arner Boyd. Louise Arner Boyd is an iconic American explorer who was active from the 1920s to the 1970s. She fully funded all of her Arctic exploration. She was the heir to an extremely large fortune after both of her parents passed away when she was 32 years old. We chose Louise's images because they are extremely high quality and in quantity. She took over 200 images of the fjord region that we are studying. The image on the left is Louise in action using her Aero 6 camera. And in the center is one of her photogrammetric maps. These were maps that she created with the American Geographical Society, for whom she was also the first female board member. And she created these maps by taking photographs and using reference points in the background to mark down the terrain. And on the right here, we have a sketch map that she created. This is the key to our research because it shows the camera locations of over 180 of the photos that she took. Not only that, but she marked down the exact direction that she took those photographs in. So this makes it super easy for us to then go back and try to create models of what she saw. So to begin my project, I started by doing archival research. All of the images from my project were taken from the University of Wisconsin Polar Archive. The University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee Polar Archive contains images from quite a few Arctic explorers, and they have several hundred from Boyd. I was able to find 161 photos of the Gregory Valley, which is the valley that connects the Kjærulf and Dixon fjords. And I put those into a spreadsheet as well as a Dropbox so that it would be easily accessible for us in the future. I also found a lot of my information for this project from Boyd's 1948 book, The Coast of Northeast Greenland. The Coast of Northeast Greenland covered Boyd's voyages to the fjord region from 1937 and 1938. And it was particularly important for us in this project because it highlighted the vessel, the equipment, and the exact specs of the cameras that she used, including the models and the focal lengths. My next step was jumping into ArcGIS. I wanted to be able to get a better feel for where we would need to travel so that we could make our comparative model. And my first step was getting some high quality raster imagery. There's a lot of freely available raster imagery of Greenland from the Danish government. So I downloaded several files that would cover the area around the Kaiser Franz Joseph, Dixon, and Kjærulf fjords. From there, I georeferenced the American Geographical Society map from Boyd's 1933 voyage on top. There were several other maps that I georeferenced in addition, just so that I would be able to get a better feel of what landmarks were where. The georeferenced map is that second image there on the screen. Following from there, I wanted to georeference the sketch map onto the same location. Obviously, it's a sketch, so it's not going to be exactly accurate. But when I switched it upside down and I rotated it, you can clearly see the entrance to the fjord up at the very top, going down into the valley. So I georeferenced that, and by using images that showed a lot of clear background points, I found the exact camera locations of 6 of her photographs. After I finished up the georeferencing process, um, I wanted to learn more about the exact camera that Louise used that wasn't noted down in her book. It'll be a little bit easier to do comparative photography if I know what camera she was working with. So I found the sensor width of her camera using the background landmarks from one of her photos. Figure 100 from the coast of Northeast Greenland has a lot of notable background landmarks. This photo looks out over the outwash plain for the Copeland Glacier in the Tyroler Fjord. And in her book, The Coast of Northeast Greenland, she states that she used the same camera for her survey of the Tyroler Fjord as she did for the Gregory Valley, Kjærulf, and Dixon fjords. So I found 6 points in the photograph that I thought would be kind of easy to find, and 2 that would be almost directly across from each other in the image plane. From there, I was able to find those reference points in ArcGIS and map the approximate image plane. And then I could use the ArcGIS measure tool to get the inner angle, which was 29.4 degrees. After that, I got to do some math. So using the equation angle of view equals 2 times the arctangent of the sensor width divided by 2 times the focal length, I was able to find that the camera that Louise was using had a 134 millimeter sensor. And when you consider modern cameras today, that seems outrageous. But I was able to find an image from the original Graflex K10 camera brochure. And this is the exact camera that Louise was using for her expeditions. So in this case, 134 millimeters does actually track. So we can use this information to consult with a photographer to figure out what camera would be best for creating models now. And we would create those models using a structure from motion technique. So structure from motion is a photogrammetry technique that uses a series of overlapping offset images to create a digital model of an object or a landscape. The image on the left really outlines that process. You take a camera and you incrementally take photographs around a landscape. From there, you can select points that overlap or are in the overlap zones. Often a computer software like Agisoft will generate those points for you, and they can then use this 3D point cloud to create a real accurate model of what you're seeing in person. So the photo on the bottom is an example of that from Jan Cavan's 2020 paper, which I will touch on in the next slide, that uses structure from motion to create a digital model of the Ferdinand Glacier in Svalbard. So Jan Cavan's paper really is the methodological approach that we will be using. Cavan's paper uses historical land-based imagery to create their models, which is what we'll be doing in this case once we eventually take our field trip to Greenland. There has been structure from motion approaches to creating glacial models throughout modern scientific research, but a lot of these approaches use aerial imagery and UAVs, or unmanned aerial vehicles, to take these new photographs. Because of the fjord region's relative instability and the amount of warmth that we've been getting every summer in Greenland recently, it is not safe to walk really very much on the ice. The ice has become very unstable. So we'll have to take our photos from the boat, just as Louise Boyd did, and just as Jan Cavan did. So to end off, here's a set of images that I think would be particularly good to use structure from motion processing on. This is of the Heisinger Glacier in the Gregory Valley, which is at the end of the Dixon Fjord. You can see there are many spots in these images from left to right where there's overlap. The very left top image, that is Scoop Mountain. And on the very right, we're going towards the underneath of what Louise Boyd called Currycomb Peak. And Miss Boyd was incredible because she marked the exact peaks that we're looking at in all of those photographs. It can be hard to see, but because she was so trained in photogrammetry, she used these these images to create maps herself. So very conducive to model making. And then this is my last slide. Here's a really good picture of what Louise Boyd was capable of with her photography, how detailed she was able to get at capturing the glacial surfaces. This is image 26H16. It is in the red square on the bottom left from her sketch map, and that arrow shows the exact spot where she was standing and the direction that she was looking when this photograph was initially taken in the 1930s. So I would just like to say thank you so much to the Undergraduate Research Opportunities Program and the Maine Space Grant Consortium for funding this project. We're so excited to be able to go into the field this summer to take the comparative photography that we need. And ideally, next year we will be creating these structure for motion models so we can see exactly how much volume has been lost. And here are my sources slides. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day.